Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone. So I know that you're on mute at the minute. There's a few more people just kind of logging in right now, so I'll give it a second and then I'll start to unmute you. As I do unmute, I'll just ask you to confirm that you can say something and I can hear as well. So I'll just give it a second. Okay, so I think it's stopped loading on, so I'll just go through. So Gillian, can you hear me? Oh, Gillian, are you there? I've unmuted you.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, perfect. I've got Caroline.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Amy.
Great. Fiona.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hello. Jackie.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Brilliant. Jennifer.
Yes, I'm here.
June.
Yes, I'm here.
Karen.
Hi, Amy. Yes, I'm here.
Lee.
Yes, I'm here.
Lucy.
Yes, I'm here.
Margaret.
Yes, I'm here.
Right. Nicola.
Yes.
Lovely. I think that's everyone.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, Karen, you've muted yourself. Great, brilliant. That looks like everyone. So, hi, everyone, and welcome to your learning assistant training. So today I'm going to go over the assessor part of the system and then the IQA side of it. I'll give it a little bit of a break in between so that if you're not an IQA and need to drop off, then you can. So Gillian has been helping me kind of run and set up these sessions over the last few weeks. And they've been going pretty well. So I'm, can someone just say yes? Can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I will go over the process of the assessment cycle and the bits and pieces that are in the site that you may use or may not. Gillian, there will be a few things that I'll probably need you to remind me as to whether you're using, because I think I've slept in the past week. And so from there, if you've got any questions, guys, feel free to unmute, raise your hand, type in the questions box, whatever kind of suits you. I can't hear any background noise at the moment, which is great. So if you are unmuted, then no problem. If you've got children, grandparents, other halves, dogs, etc. in the background, please don't panic. It's a new way of working for everyone, and it's really not a problem. So I'll record today's session, and then I'll send it on to Gillian afterwards, so that you can all have a recording of this on the sort of after I've dropped off and left you. But for now, I'll go through the system. So initially, the first bit to come to when you log in, and you'll all get access to your logins, is that you'll just come to the avatar in the top corner, which is that person, and in there it will probably ask you to change your password, but make sure your notifications are on. So this is making sure that the correct email address is in the system and you've got all your notifications turned on to start with. What I do say is turn them all on, and then you'll see what Learning Assistant can tell you. And then if it's not relevant, then go and turn it off if you want. But this will tell you things like when the learners upload work to you, when your IQ. I will come into a little bit more information as we're going through the assessment cycle. Messages, again, is something that you may use, but not many centres do, because this is like an internal email system within Learning Assistant. The most information you'll get from here will probably be from us. And if you've left your password as something weak, we will tell you. But you may still continue to use your own internal email address to communicate to each other. And I'm going to show you in the assessment cycle how you should communicate with your learners. Appointments. So if you set appointments with your learners, you've got them on the home screen. You've also got them in a calendar view by clicking on the left-hand side. Resources. You will all have YouTube resources in here. We are updating them at the moment because the system has been updated recently, sort of back end of the year. So they will start to change. But these may be resources that your system admin might choose to load on, which will be things like policies and procedures, safeguarding, events, anything that is a useful document that you may want access to. Again, it's not mandatory, it's just whether your system admin decide whether that's going to be utilised. LA Anywhere, so this is just a description of how to get onto your apps, whether they're on tablets or phones. It will ask you for your login name, your password, and then something called instance. My instance is Demo Amy, yours will be whatever yours is, so I think it's NES and HSES, I believe. But LA Anywhere page. Okay. So processes, if that's on at the moment, it's not something your centre are currently going to be using, so you can ignore that tab on the left-hand side for now. I think it's going to sit elsewhere. CPD, Gillian, was that something that you were going to use?
We asked for it to be removed. It's not been removed yet.
Okay, chase that. So CPD, again, ignore it for now. I will chase as to why. I know the ticket did go in to get it removed. So I'll chase that. I'll just pop that on the note so I don't forget. So CPD, we can ignore that for now. Forums, that was something, so one of your assessors had a good idea with forums, didn't they, Gillian?
No, we asked for forums and news and events to be removed as well.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, I thought it was something to do with the new apprenticeships.
Was that to do with the RAG rating?
Perhaps not. I will chase that as well. So.
No, I think the other, it's just CPD that needs to be removed. The other two have gone from the main site.
Ah, great. Yeah. Sorry. Brilliant. So forums, ignore that on mine, and news and events then. That's great. So appointments, like I said, same from your home screen. Oh, this is going to speed up this demo, Gillian. This appointment is, you've got it as a calendar format as well on your home screen. I'll show you how that you set them up with your learners through the contact diary. So straight into your assessment cycle then. So the generic learner I've got, you can search and it will give you a list of everyone. If you want to search a specific learner that you're going to, you can. So to go into the portfolio and have a look, you click on the red write-in and it will take you through to a page like this. So depending on, again, loaded by system admin, it's a new system, so it will evolve for your centre. But this might be things that are put in the documents of qualification handbooks, maybe legislation or documents to do with that course specifically, rather than something for the centre. It's to do with that course as a whole. There's types of learner guidance and assessment guidance. If it's down as learner guidance that you can see here, it means that you and the learner can see that. If it's assessment guidance, then it means that only you as the assessor can see that document. So the first thing that you want to do with the learners is plan. So create a plan for the learners to be able to accept. So by doing this, I'm going to click on contact. Now the contact diary and learning assistant is where you want to put all communication between you and the learner to do with their qualification and their learner journey. It demonstrates a really good audit trail of everything that's happened from start to finish. So when you click into contact and create an entry, it will bring up this pop-up. So in here you've got something called entry label, and that is really important to change. So it will be automatically pre-populated to general. And then it's worth having a look and just seeing what's in here. So you've got things like planning, which we're going to click on. You've got supported learning for additional learner needs, teaching and learning. It's just a really good way to identify what you're doing with the learner at that particular point. When you press on planning, this pop-up will appear, and it's only planning that will lock this. And it's just saying that this will lock any outcomes until the learner accepts the plan. And that's exactly what we want to happen, because the audit trail of you planning and the learner being able to accept it can sometimes get lost in the digital format, but it is important for quality. So description should be the title of your plan, and feedback is the content. Or in your case, is this where you've got the assessment planning document?
Yep, I think so.
Yep, so you might put assessment planning document attached. Once you press save to create the parameters, from there, guys, you're going to, you can put in a meeting if you're planning a date to go and see the learners. Require the learner to acknowledge it, but then you're going to go into related documents for now and upload your assessment plan, which you'll all have access to by choosing a file. And then your completed one, so HSVQ assessment plan will sit in here. Access to that document, and the learner's got access to that document when you sent it that way. So you can see that in here.
Can I interrupt for a second, Amy?
Of course you can.
So it's just, this was an idea that we, a couple of sessions, so it's not absolutely set in stone yet. But Amy had told us the last time that it's the assessor that needs to start the conversation about planning. Is that correct, Amy?
Yeah.
And then, so by us starting the planning, sending them a contact diary and adding the assessment plan, it would then enable them to complete it and then return it to us. But that was just an idea that we had for how to use the assessment plan. It's not been fully decided yet. So that was all.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
No problem. With this for now is so in your contact diary, where is it? It could be assessment plan attached. Please complete and return. If you're asking them to do it. And then from there, you will relate it to what is that for? So their outcomes, you're saying, I want you to create this plan, I want you to do this work, and it's going to be for these units or topics. From that point, you press save information, everything that you've just asked them to do with any attached documents over to the learner. So you're making that plan. I don't think I pressed save. So then that's the plan from the assessor side. Fine, great, thanks, June. So as the learner, they will then see in their latest contact diary entry, and again, make sure that they've got their notifications turned on, so they get this alert to say that you've sent something to them. And they can see the latest contact diary entry is the plan that we've completed just here. So then they can see this descriptive document that's attached and complete the assessment I've set them to do for them to be able to upload. Once they're happy with that, then they can go into the course folder. And because we changed it to the plan, if you're asking them, then you'll want them to upload that as a piece of evidence. So, and that would go the same for their assessment plan, any evidence, they'll go evidence wizard, upload evidence, in this case, to the document. And then going to upload the assessment plan back to you. There are videos for the learners to be able to watch, so that we'll make sure that you guys get them. Who's this, June? Do we get a notification when the candidates view the assessment plan? So not when they view it, but when they send it back to you, yes. They can acknowledge that they've seen it, absolutely, and you'll be able to see the time and date of when they've acknowledged it. But you don't get notifications. It is something that we're working on at the moment in development. just because it's if you've got a caseload of 70 learners, for example, and then you've got however many IQAs, it's making sure that you get the right acknowledgements in the right way, rather than potentially 100 in a day. So they're going to browse for the file and upload the assessment plan, and then they're going to fill out that detail. So assessment plan, and then put in what they've done. They can give it a type. Now this might be customized to you and the type of evidence types you have. So you, Gillian, you might change one of these to assessment plan if you want. To be able
Amy, I don't think we will upload the assessment plans to the into the actual unit.
Okay.
I think we'll probably keep them in the contact diary.
Okay. No problem. So,
but yeah, we do plan to change some of those so we can get rid of some of the ones that we don't know.
You don't know yet. So this is the same process of evidence. So you upload, you give it the details and the type that's in there. And then when you cross-reference, this is where you're saying to the learner, I've asked you to complete this task or unit for this particular 208, so understand how to deal with incoming calls. And again, this one. So this is the learner just confirming that this work that they've done in this piece of evidence is related to these bits of criteria in this task. So it's getting them just to tell you what they've done for their work. When this then saves, it will ask them if they want to submit for review. Now it's really important in your induction to either show them the video that we produce or to explain it to them yourselves, that when this pops up, submitting for review is them saying to you, I've got this piece of evidence or these things that I want you to be able to look at. I'm not sure if I'm on the right lines and I need a little bit of guidance. If that's the case, they can submit it for review for you to give them some feedback based on that work that they've done. So they're not asking you to make a decision as to whether they passed or failed or need to add a little bit more. It's purely, can you give me a little bit of guidance and tell me how I'm doing? I'll come to how you mark that when I go back into the assessor side of things. At the point that you're happy for the learner to, and you think, actually, I think you've done enough now. You've answered all your questions. I've seen enough performance criteria. I actually think that in this case, 208.1, I do think you're competent, and I would like to say that you're fine with this. At that point, the learners can submit their competency claim and say, I think I've done everything. Can you tell me if I've passed or if I need to add some more to this particular outcome? So when they submit their competency claim, it locks that outcome down. So they cannot cross-reference anything. They can't add anything else in until you make that assessment decision. Whereas in the previous bit, when they review it, they can continue to upload evidence, cross-reference, add in some more bits and pieces, keep working on it to build that portfolio. Whereas that submit competency claim locks it down so they cannot do anything else. Any questions on the learner side of things?
No. No, that seems fine, thanks.
Okay. This will take a little bit of time to get used to. Once you've done it a couple of times, it will start to slot into play. So that's where your assessor home screen comes into things. So now you've got the difference of awaiting evidence review and awaiting. So now awaiting evidence review is that first thing we came to where it popped up and the learner was saying, please can you give me a little bit of feedback on this work that I've been doing. So from that point, you would click into the red writing and it will take you straight through to their evidence folder. They said it was questioning. And then this clipboard, because that's bold, that means that they've asked it to be reviewed. So when you click on there, you just give them that little bit of feedback. So you say, if you're 100% actually you're doing additional resources or documents in here, they've gone really happy and tick loads of outcomes, and you're like, actually, RAG rating. So your RAG rate, obviously your red, amber, green. Gillian, do you want to touch on this from what your assessors were saying?
I think it was the first session, Julie thought it would be quite good to use the RAG rating for the modern apprenticeship to show whether they were on track. I think that's just something that needs to be discussed. The second group weren't that fussed about it, but it is a wee bit of a suck it and see as we all move to the modern apprenticeship. I don't know what people's thoughts are at this stage on this session.
I think as we become familiar with actually using it for assessment, we can think about the functionality, and we can all, have a go and feedback. But it's certainly not a mandatory aspect, is it, Gillian?
No, I wouldn't have said so. I think it's as we play about with it, we might come up with more reasons for using things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Gillian. So from that point, you've got the summary of all of that evidence that you just reviewed and fed back on. If you're happy with that, you press save, and that's now gone back to the learner to say that you've got some feedback based on that piece of evidence you've submitted. The good thing with that is that it will tell you how many times you reviewed the evidence, and which will tell you when the learner first next piece that they uploaded, and so on and so forth, which gives you a really good timeline from when they've loaded that piece of evidence to the distance travelled for them to be signed off for you to say, yeah, complete and I'm happy. So you can see all of that. Okay, so then, oh, yeah, one here. No, brilliant. So the next bit from here is the second to make an assessment decision on. When you click in there, it takes you through to the course folder, which is the submitted and awaiting review. So that's showing it's locked until you've accepted it or not. And then down here, this assessment criteria is each piece of evidence in that outcome, and where the learner has said this cross-references to all of these parts of the qualification. At this point, if you disagree with the type of evidence, so this learner's put its questions, then you can go into the I and you can say, actually, it's not questions, this one. It was a professional discussion, for example. And then save. And then you can say where you've achieved all of. If you disagree, remove it. When you're happy, you've got enough pieces of evidence to be able to sign this off as 1.2, for example. You tick the yellow box at the bottom. That is you confirming that is you don't need any more. You don't need any more evidence to be able to say that they're competent in these outcomes. Once you've pressed save, that's where you make that decision to either accept it and lock so you can put it away, or it brings up exactly the same box for both of them, except rather than saying returned, it would say accepted. And then your feedback. Next appointment if you're going out, the learner's acknowledgement, any additional documents, outcomes, RAG rating, summary, it's that same repetitive contact diary. Once you've done that, you press save, and in this case, it unlocks that portfolio, saying it's been reviewed and returned by the assessor, so the learner can now carry on working and update them. You can see the audit trail from start to finish. So this is earlier on when we created the plan. So in this case, it was a return. Has anyone got any other questions on the assessment? So for the assessor side, what I would say is when you come off today, you've been allocated 2 hours from the support team. So I've done this whistle-stop tour of how to use the system. Like I say, it's been recorded and it will be sent on to you. Use the time that's been allocated to log in, have a bit of a go with the system, and have a practice. Log in as the assessor, create a plan. Go in as the learner, complete the accept the plan and upload some evidence. Log back in as the assessor and review or accept and return evidence. Once you've done those steps a few times, you'll be used to kind of going through that cycle. Before we move on to the IQA part, Gillian, is there anything else from you?
No, I was just checking that the same stuff has been delivered this time. Just to say, everybody should have access to a test learner and an assessor login. If you don't for some reason, just drop me an email. There was a wee bit about declaration, Amy, that we talked about last time. Maybe just highlight where that is for the assessors.
Okay, yeah, so your assessor declaration. So depending on your centre and whether they want to do it at the start of the portfolio, ongoing, or at the end, at the top side of every learner's portfolio, you've got an assessor declaration and the learners have got a candidate declaration. When you click on that, it will give you a declaration that your centre will customise to you, and you can accept it in there, which is basically a digital signature of your assessor declaration that then sits in the contact diary for each learner for quality assurance, so they can see that it's been done in the.
Does anybody have any questions or queries just now for Amy?
No, I'm good, Gillian, thank you.
No, I'm fine, Gillian, thanks.
I'm fine. I think this is more of a doing task.
Definitely.
Yeah, so once you're off, have a bit of a play. I am on call still. I'm not ditching you before the 2 hours is up. I'm on my phone. Oh, thanks, Caroline. I'm on my phone. I'm on my emails, so do pick up with me. After that, you've got digital support, which we'll share around the email address, which is digitalsupport@City and Guilds. And they are your go-to. They are amazing. They can pick up the phone with you. They can come over email and share screens and send pictures. But they are on hand from 8:30 till 5 every day. Even at the moment, they're on emails and calls. It's just because when I'm in training or your other DSMs are in training, we don't necessarily get to the phone in time, or to emails for a quick turnaround. So they're really good to kind of get hold of. June, you've got your hand up. Have you got a question?
Yeah, I just want to ask about the registration. It's more probably for our work stream. Just to ask, will that be added by the hub, all of the students onto the e-portfolio?
It's probably a question for you, Gillian. How are you loading the learners?
So it's not been finalised, but the hope is they'll be registered by the hub onto SQE Connect, and then they will be added to Learning Assistant. There's another entry that needs to be made for mentors, which is the practice person that will be potentially signing off any reflective accounts or adding feedback. But yeah, the hub or local admin will be involved in both those processes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Julian. So if you are not an IQA, then please feel free to jump off this webinar if it's not something you want to see. If you are, or you do want to see it, then I'll just give you a couple of minutes to kind of have a bit of a wiggle maybe, and then we'll get into the IQA part of the system, all right?
And just to confirm, that means if you're not an IV, you can leave now.
Sorry, crosswalk.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Just wait and see if anyone drops off. There's a couple just ducking out.
Yeah, I think it's potentially just 2 people that might leave.
Okay, I think I've only had one drop off, but that's fine. So for IQAs, I'm just going to log out and log in as an IV. Sorry, I'll get into the habit of saying IV.
Oh, don't worry.
Okay, so IV part of the system. So a lot of this is all the same. So the bits I'm going to go over in here is the sampling summary and then how to actually complete the verification in the system. So first of all, I'll go into sample summary because that's the first bit that you'll want to create. So you go into there and then into the sample plans at the top here. So it's one of those on the system. So first you'll create sample plan. And then in here you give it a name and description for your rationale. So whatever that may be, so we're going to focus on this unit, we're going to do 20%, 10%, 100% of new assessors, whatever that is, put your rationale in the description box. Choose the course that that's related to. And then either it's up to you if you want to include completed learners, yes or no. For mine, I'm going to put yes because I've got some learners in my test site that I've just pressed to complete, but it will give me some more data. Now, assessors in companies at the moment is not mandatory, but it will be going forward just to help you demonstrate camera. So assessors, it will pull them all through if you don't select any, but I would recommend you select the ones that you want to link through to. And then companies, depending on how that's set up, would be either locations, but you can either choose to not put that in or select all of them if you particularly want. And then you press save. So you fill out the boxes and that will set up this template for your sample plan. So then when you want to create the details around there, you'll click into the name and you'll see this sampling view. So all of them details that we've just pre-populated sit up here. Okay. There's a key in that question mark, which when you open it up, it tells you what all of the colours mean and the letters, for example. But I'm going to go over that now. So you've got things which are all these columns here. So it's late. So if you want to hide some of them so you can see a more bigger breadth of the units in here, then assessor, I know that the primary assessor is Amy, so I'm going to tick that, so just hide it for now. The dates is the start and anticipated end date for the learner, hide that one. The role here is this yellow star, so it says if it's yellow, then you are the primary verifier for that learner. If it was greyed out, then it would show that you are down as the secondary or the counter signature verifier for that learner. Interim verifications and percentages I generally leave on because that's quite useful information for you as you're building your sample plan. So interim verifications are the little numbers in the circles and also the total amount at the end. So that is your formative sampling. So, you know, kind of you dipping in, having a look at records, plans before the assessor has really signed it off. And then you want to build up your sample. So I'm going to click on 203 here and you can see that box has now got a thick border around it and this planning box has appeared. So if you plan without a date and you're just saying I'm going to plan to sample in this unit at some time when it's complete, you can select the types of evidence that you feel you may want to see, you know, preferential within that unit, and press save. This will then create a small P in that box to say that you've planned to sample in here. If you do it for a date and it's summative sampling, then you can pop that in, press save, and that will generate a small S in here. And the same if you were to do it for formative, it would put in a small F. Now that's per, and if you are like an Excel document and you do it diagonally, if you hold down Control, you can actually select a cross-reference of units in here, put in a date if you want, or just press save. And that will then give you the appropriate letters in here. So now you'll get used to the colours in Learning Assistant over time. They'll either be crossed out here, that means that unit is not allocated to that learner. Grey is that the unit hasn't been started at all. Blue is that it has been started. Green is that it's been accepted by the assessor. And pink is it's been sampled or verified. Now the baby pink without the V in there is saying that it has been sampled, but it was outside your sampling plan parameters. And when it's dark pink with the V in, it's saying this has been sampled, but you did plan for it to sample. But again, like I say, it's in that question mark at the top for you to refer back to at any point. Okay, so that's your grid. If you want to have a look at it from that perspective, you can go in there, but that will also talk straight back to your home page in a list here of the sample plan tasks, the types of evidence. Okay. You've got the colours down here, not started, it'll be green for started, and that's your sample plan tasks in a list. Awaiting verification here is any other outcomes that have been completed by a learner. So this learner has had 3 other outcomes that have been signed off and accepted by the assessor. That is there so that if your learner has completed something, but that's not showing as complete in your sample plan, but you still want to see that final assessment decision by your assessor, you can go in and sort of dip in and out by seeing these additional bits of verification you could do. Any questions at the moment on creating your sample plan?
No.
No. Okay, great.
Oh, I'm good.
So the next bit is actually going in and completing that sample and doing some verification. So you can click into your learner's name, which will take you through to the portfolio in a very similar way that we've just seen for the assessor side of things. Now, you've got choices here. This has been submitted by the learner, it hasn't been signed off by the assessor, so you may want to go in and do some interim sampling. So you click into the unit as you would from an assessor's perspective, and you can have a look at some evidence. So interim verification, some feedback, might be please change the evidence types, quite a common one. You can ask the assessor to acknowledge that. And if you're doing some holistic sampling, then you can go into outcomes and say this sampling feedback is related to all of these units, which will then the assessor will see it and it will sit in that kind of audit trail summary from your sample. So then you can see all the feedback that you're giving for that interim verification folder unit. You will have a here that 3 interim verifications have taken place as part of this unit. Okay. So final decisions and verification, you can either do this within accepted by, it will bring the same. Oh, sorry, let me go to a different one. That's a poor example. Yes, as the IQA, I agree with your cross-reference. Change them to pink. So those of you will have noticed that there is a question mark in these. I believe that is very much a quality assurance conversation because assessors can put a question mark in here. Verifiers can put a question mark in here also, but there is nowhere in the system that flags that there is a question mark outstanding. So some people won't use it for that. Other people will set a standardized processes to that one. So I'll kind of leave that with you, Gillian, to have that internal conversation as to whether it's something you want to use or something that you don't want to use.
Okay, thank you.
So you're agreeing with cross-referencing there. And now this IV box is something that gets confused with people quite often. This is when you as an IQA are agreeing that this piece of evidence is product or questions or whatever evidence type has been selected there. That is you agreeing that that is the correct evidence type. And that will pull through to a report that I'll look into with you in a moment. Okay. So like I say, you've got your interim verification, but then you can absolutely verify as a unit as a whole. So this one, verify unit, same contact diary with your feedback, acknowledgements, etc. So that has now gone pink. At the end, units will have some that you oversample. Stick to your rationale with that one. Any questions on that?
No, thanks.
No, all right. So
No, I'm good, thank you.
Great.
I think in the other sessions it was a case of actually this one was a bit more detailed, Amy, this time. That was really helpful.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't know what we kind of missed. Maybe just in a different stage, perhaps. But I'll share that with everybody anyway. But until we actually get to making our plans, I think we decided we would maybe address this again nearer the time when we actually had live students.
Yeah.
But that was really helpful. Thank you.
No, that's fine. So just the last bit to go over is just the reports. Did we go over this in the last one?
No.
Okay. Do you want me to do it in this one as well, so then you can send this recording on?
Yes, please.
So with your reports, when you go into sample summary, you've got the ones along the top here. So now each report, you just search for either the course or the assessor that you're looking for and press search. Now this first report is learners, so it's how much the percentage of sampling you've done over an individual learner's portfolio or over how many interim or formative samples that you've done. So you can see that as what you're averaging over a particular learner's portfolio as a whole, and all of these can be exported. You've got the same for the assessors, so that's per learner. You can then view that again in another report that gives you that result, but per assessor. So for this assessor, I've done 15 formative samples, 11 summative samples, which has given me a total of 26. And I can see how that's spread into each unit. Evidence type, so that little square that I pressed within the learner's portfolio, the reason you press that is because that then pulls into this report and tells you per learner's portfolio that you're responsible for sampling, what is the types of evidence that you're looking at. So it will kind of guide you so that you know that if you're looking at all observations or all questions, you need to widen your evidence types to be able to meet camera over a particular qualification. Your referral history is how many outstanding referrals you've got for assessors. So you can see it on your home screen as well, but I can see that for this assessor, I've still got 2 outstanding here, 1 here, 2, and 1 here. So this means that if you've got a load of assessors and they've all got referrals outstanding in 201, that's your next standardisation session right there. If you've got an assessor that's got 15 referrals in 207, it demonstrates that they're probably struggling with that, and they need a bit of guidance on how to get their learners through on this one. So you can see that in a report, and all of these are exportable into Excel. The final one is IV observations, and this is something that you may choose to use or not. So this is where you can create observations on your assessors when you go out and see them in the system and allocate it to that particular assessor. Choose when that happens, upload any documents if you've got a standardised IV observation form. And then you can search per assessor, and you can see all of the samples that you've completed with the assessor in a timeline. So you've got a timeline of what days, because then they can they don't have to come out. They can do a remote EV visit by looking through your portfolio and have a look at the IQA sampling, their plans, and the reports that are within there. Okay, so that's that for the IQA part of the system. Again, have a practice. If you've got test learners, it'll be when you've got live learners, you can create a sample plan and you can do verification on live learners. But you can go in and do interim, like formative and summative sampling within your test learners. It's just the sample plan won't let you create it with a test learner. Okay. Great. Anything else from you, Gillian, that you'd like me to? Oh, someone's got the hand up. Lee, you got your hand up yet?
If you're in the Assessor and IV, are you going to have two separate logins?
No. So at the home page where I've got verify tasks, you'll have assessor tasks and verifier tasks as two separate tabs.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and just a tip on that, actually, when you search for your learners, and you want to have a look at the learners that you verify, then do learners, and then find courses I verify, for example, and then when you search your learners, it will only bring up the learners that you're responsible for verification rather than assessment.
Cool.
Anything else? Gillian, anything that I've missed with your list?
Nope, nothing at all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else got any questions? Lovely. So I will, like I say,
Like everybody says, the doing task.
yeah, very much is. There's quite a large number on today as well. So I'll get this downloaded and sent over to you. And then whilst you're logging in now, you've got test learners and test site. You can watch this, pause it, play it as you're kind of going along. And then any questions, like I say, just come back to either support or myself over the next bit, and we can get you up to scratch. But it is a little bit of giving it a go as well. So yeah, if you get stuck, then just please get hold of us.
Great, thanks, Amy.
No problem, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Amy. Very helpful.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.